Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to the grant writing webinar for women-owned businesses and women-led nonprofits. Come on in and say hello. I'm Linda Peavy, and I'm the owner of LaPav Consulting, LLC, and I'm going to be your hostess this evening. So as you come in, say hello to me, please. Give me a shout out. Let me know what city and state you are coming in from. I am in Ohio, Northeast Ohio, to be exact. So let me know where you're coming in from. Give that city and state a shout out as you come into the webinar. Hey, Kristen from Baltimore, and the ATL is being represented by Allison. We got the big D in the house, Dallas, with Marshall. Philadelphia. I used to live outside of Philadelphia. And we've got Columbia, South Carolina. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. San Diego, I've been to, and I'm not sure where Fowler, California is, Lisa. We've got Tampa represented with Robin, and hey, DC, our capital, is in the house with, is it Natania or Natanya? Probably Natanya. Hope I'm right. Hey, we've got Ohio represented, our neighbors to the south, Dayton, Ohio, with Monica. Hello, everybody. As you come in, give me a shout out, say hello, and let me know what city and state you're coming from. My name is Linda Peavy, and I am the owner of LaPav Consulting. I'm going to be your host for this evening, and we have a lot to cover. We have so much to cover. So we are going to get started. And the first thing I'm going to do is show you my 30-second TV commercial, which gives you some background information about me and what I do. And while I am here, and then we're going to get started, we'll do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll jump right into the webinar because, oh, we have so much to cover. So hello, everybody. Teresa with Indianapolis, Lillian from Baton Rouge. Baltimore is represented by Janelle, and we've got, is it South Carolina in the house, and Tanya from Chi-Town. All right, so as I always say, come through technology. I'm getting ready to share this screen. So hopefully it should pop up, and there we are. And my 30-second TV commercial will tell you more about my background, and then we will be off to the races. All right.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of LaPav Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how LaPav Consulting can help.
All right, so that's a little bit more about me. I want to make sure everyone is in the right place. And actually, this is the 7 p.m. session, Grant Writing for Women-Owned Businesses. We were live at noon, and now this is the 7 p.m. one. So a little bit more about my background. Yes, they call me the Grants Queen because I have secured over $17 million in funding and business development for my clients. And you know there's a difference between writing that application and securing the bag. And I've been blessed to be able to secure that much money for my clients. But in the last 15 years since I started my company, LaPav Consulting, almost all 15 of those years, I've been grant writing. I've been writing grants. I've been writing the request for proposals, literally developing those requests for proposals for clients. I've scored applications. I help build partnerships. And yes, I do give grant writing workshops all over the country. And I was a former executive director of a nonprofit. So you nonprofits that are with me, yes, I understand where you are. And let me know who's in the room. Are you a nonprofit? Are you a for-profit? And what I'm finding is that we have a lot of for-profits that are now starting nonprofits. So maybe you're both. So let me know in the chat who's with me today. So are you a nonprofit, for-profit, or maybe you're both? So let me know who is on today. Let me know in the chat who is with me. Wow, we have both. Grant is both. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. For profit. Oh, for profit that will start a nonprofit, for profit. So there's a really good mix of both. Well, let me tell you, it doesn't matter if you are for profit or a nonprofit. This information is going to be for you. And yes, you heard right. There is grant money for profit organizations, and they will be included in the information that I share with you today. Next, a little bit more about my journey to getting to the $17 million. I used to be a publishing executive in Pennsylvania, and not too far from Philadelphia. Someone's on from Philadelphia. I was in Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, and I was there for 10 years. I got hurt. I had to come home to Cleveland, where I was born and raised, literally in a wheelchair because I couldn't stand for any length of time. And it took me 2 years to recuperate. And so after the 2 years, guess what? Even though I had over 20 years of experience, I couldn't find a job. And that's when I started LaPav Consulting. It was out of necessity that I started LaPav, and I never looked back. And one of my first contracted positions was to become an executive director of a nonprofit. And so I started the job, and literally within, it had to have been maybe a week of me starting, I was called into the board of directors office, and I was told that I had to write a grant to save my position, which meant I was saving the organization because they needed a grant to pay for my salary as the executive director. And that is when I first really came to understand grants. I didn't know really what a grant was. I had no frame of reference at all. But guess what? I learned. I wrote that grant to save my job and thus saving the organization. And I learned that there is this connection between being able to write a grant and getting free money. You're going to hear that all evening, free money, right? And so that connection is what we are going to talk about today. And so why is this class important? These are the things we're going to cover. Why is it important? The philanthropic landscape, which has completely changed. Grant basics. How do you prepare to write? What do you write? How do you write? How do you attract the right funder? How do you get noticed, right? In a sea of grant applications. And how do you do grant research so that you can find the funder who wants to fund you? And then don't go anywhere, because at the end, I'm going to give you a list of actual grants that you can apply for. And we're going to do an in-depth Q&A. People know that I answer every question, and then have a bonus surprise for you. So don't go anywhere. All right, we're off to the races. So why this class? Well, look, we as women entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders, we need funding other than loans, right? We need grants, free money. But grant writing is a skill. I am a professional grant writer. And so grant writers at my level, we charge anywhere between $100 to $200 an hour to write grants. But guess what? You can learn this skill to place your organization in a position to get grants. Like, you can do this, because at the end of the day, no one can tell your story better than you. And grant writing is totally different now, totally different. No longer are you sitting in a corner for months writing some 200-page dissertation, right? You can write a grant in a few hours. I was literally in an artificial intelligence class, ChatGPT class, maybe about 3 weeks ago, and where they were showing us literally how to write a grant in an hour using AI. So you don't have to be scared anymore, right? I'm here to take the fear away. It is not difficult. It's just a process. And so I'm here to show you the process. And again, literally many grants are 2 to 3 pages. There was a Barclays Bank grant last month. They were giving away $25,000 for a 500-word essay. So don't have to be scared anymore of that term. So 2 different incidents completely changed the landscape of grants. And this is why there's so much grant money available right now. COVID-19, when COVID-19 happened, so many small businesses went under. You probably know an organization that had to close their doors, or maybe you were affected. Small businesses were shutting their doors everywhere, and foundations started to take notice, and major corporations started to take notice, and they said, we're going to do something about this. Because at the end of the day, small businesses literally are the backbone of the US economy. And so they created grant money, free grant money to be provided to women-owned businesses specifically, but also women-led nonprofits. And that's why there's more money than I've ever seen in the 15 years since I've been writing grants. There's more money available right now to you as a woman-owned business and a nonprofit than I have ever seen. Now, there's a few COVID-19 grants still lingering around out there. If you come across them, you really do have to talk about how you were affected by COVID-19. But we will talk about much more than just COVID-19 grants. So the other incident was the George Floyd incident. So what happened to George Floyd for the world to see certainly got the attention of foundations and corporations. They saw what everyone else saw, and they said, we have to do something about racial injustice in the country. And so what did they do? They used what was plentiful, money. And so they created grant funds, right, that are earmarked for what you might have heard as DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. That also means that if you are in any type of socially conscious cause, right, that you are championing with your nonprofit or your for-profit, that money is available to you too. Could be the homeless, it could be the opioid crisis, right? The money is available now more so than it has ever been for minority small businesses, and that means you as a woman-owned business. So that is the second reason why there's so much grant money available for, yes, for profits. Typically, when you heard of the word grant, you thought what? Nonprofit. Not any longer. For profits and nonprofits are getting grants. Now, we're under grant basics. What do you need to know? Grants are not paid back. Now, I'm just talking to nonprofits right now. You need your 501c3 if you are going to pursue grants. Foundations require that you have a 501c3. What is it? That is your tax-exempt charitable organization designation by the IRS, right? And what I need you to know, try to avoid using a fiscal agent, right? So the fiscal agent is a nonprofit that already has their 501c3. And so they are that third party that is going to be accepting money on your behalf because you don't have your 501c3. And if you do get a grant, which is rare, the money will go to that fiscal agent. And then it is the responsibility of the fiscal agent to give the money to you, which is exactly why foundations prefer not to work with fiscal agents, because at the end of the day, if they are providing you with funding for your program, they want the funding to go directly to you and not through a third party. The good news is it used to take 3 to 6 months for the IRS to process those 501c3 applications. Now it's taking 6 to 8 weeks. So nonprofits, get your 501c3 so that you have your own tax exempt designation. You're not having to go through a third party. Next, everyone look at this slide. People thought, oh, we're in a pandemic, there's no giving. Well, did you know that giving increases when there's a national calamity? Look at the giving just from foundations in 2021. It increased to $90.88 billion, right? $90 billion, that is a lot of money, ladies, and that's just from foundations, okay? Can you imagine what you could do with just a little bit of $90 billion? How about finally opening up your nonprofit or your for-profit? Or you could stop bootstrapping. You could stop asking family and friends for money. But look, we don't want to be greedy. We don't need the whole $90 billion. We just need a little bit. So I want you to put into the chat, everybody into the chat, I just need a little bit. I just need a little bit into the chat. We're not trying to be greedy. We don't need the whole $90 billion. Can you imagine what you would do with just a little bit? That's what I'm talking about, Allison. I just need a little bit. Lisa, Teresa, Rashina, we just need a little bit. Sharon, Monica, we're not trying to be greedy. We don't need the whole $90 billion, Stella. We just need a little bit, Rhonda. That's all we're asking for. And guess what? I'm going to show you how you can get just a little bit of the $90 billion, which actually, when the 2022 numbers come in, that number is expected to be over $100 billion. Now, We are getting ready to prepare to write. And this is where too many organizations make mistakes. You have to prepare to write grants. You don't want to just download an application, complete it, and send it off. What I want you to do is just hone in on those writing skills a bit. We know that there are 5 basic writing skills. We are just going to look at number 5, editing and rewriting. Now, I'm going to be giving you tea all evening, and this is the first cup of tea for you. It is Grammarly. And guess what? Grammarly is what? Grammarly is free. Grammarly is a software editing tool that is phenomenal, and I want you to download it. This is your homework, because I do not want you submitting applications that are full of grammatical errors. And now that Grammarly has embraced artificial intelligence even more, it's a phenomenal tool. So if you use Grammarly, give yourself a shout out in the chat if you use Grammarly. So this article here, Improve Writing Skills Dramatically by Doing These 15 Things, will literally improve your writing skills. And as Hyacinth, oh, I probably butchered that terribly. Grammarly is great, isn't it? Rashina uses Grammarly. Download Grammarly. Oh my gosh, I got it right. How about that? Please download Grammarly. It is free and it will help you to become a better writer. And I want you to download that article. I'm a professional writer and a professional editor. I use Grammarly, and it is fantastic, and I want you to use it too. Next, we're preparing to write grants, right? You need to get your documentation in order. You need your employer identification number, your EIN. Only if you are a nonprofit, you need that 501c3. Now, for you for-profits, based on your state, you need a business license. You need to make sure that you have your state certification. Now, in Ohio, you have to have a business license as a for-profit to do business. Now, what I have since learned in the last several months is that every state is different. There are some states where you don't even need a business license. You don't even need a state certification. You do in Ohio. And this is crucial because a young lady was on my webinar and she said, Linda, you're absolutely right, because I'm a for-profit. And I was applying for a grant and the competition was stiff. She said I was the only one that got the grant because I could show my state certification. So this is more homework. Go to your Secretary of State's website, your Secretary of State's website. Research it under business license, find out whether or not you need a license to do business as a for-profit in your state. If you do, you need to get it. In Ohio, it's maybe $105, like every 5 years. Is very, very, very affordable. Next, you need your list of your board members and your staff. You need letters of support. They become important because foundations want to know that there's another organization supporting you, or organizations, right? So who are you asking for these letters from? It could be your pastor, your church, community leaders, right? Politicians, the mayor. These letters are saying, yes, I believe in her cause and what she's doing, the fact that she deserves grant funding. Next, now some grant applications ask for an audited financial statement. If they do, that means you need to have your CPA, your certified public accountant, to complete that financial statement. But that doesn't happen often. More so than not, they will just ask for your financial statements, like your balance sheet or your income statement, which those don't have to be audited. Now, you need to have, of course, your operating budget if you're in business, but for you startups, this is important. You still need to create a budget, right? Because you must know how much money it's going to take for you to start your nonprofit or for you to start your for-profit, right? You need that operating budget so that when you complete that budget and you have those line items, you may realize, okay, I have money for the lease on the building, or I have money to pay my staff, but oh, I forgot, I didn't put in any money for marketing. That's where I will apply for a grant, is to support my marketing. So that budget helps you to, one, not only know how much money is going to cost you to open, but where you have funding gaps. And where you have funding gaps is where you can apply for grant money. All right, next, list any other funding sources that you have, right? So foundations really don't like to be the only one supporting you. They like to see that you have other support from other organizations and foundations. So your funding sources could be other grants, it could be other sponsorships. It could even be in-kind donations. Just list it in the grant application if you have any other support, so that the foundation that you're applying to knows that, yes, there are other organizations that are supporting my mission as well. So next we have grant components, and I'm going to go through the 2 slides really quickly, just so you know, everything is being recorded and you will get a free replay at the end. As I go, please drop questions into the chat or the Q&A, because at the end, we're going to do a really thorough Q&A. And again, don't go anywhere, because I do have a surprise for you. And we will have a list for you of actual grants that you can apply for. So don't go anywhere. So these are the typical components that you will see in a grant: summary, abstract, mission, history, leadership, description of the organization, a statement of need or the target market, describing whatever your program or your project, or it could be a service. You could be a service-based organization, which is perfectly okay. Community partnerships, your results, which are your outcomes, whether your outputs, your outcomes, your impact, and then your staff, your board of directors, your budget, and then sustainability. So again, these are the typical components of a grant application. We're going to go through each one. So summary, abstract, what do you need to know? You will see it first, but do not be fooled. Always write it last, because it is going to include the most compelling components of that grant application. So don't be fooled. It's the first section of the application. Ignore it. You always write it last, right? Next, your mission vision. All of you should have a mission statement, but do you have a vision statement? If not, that's more homework for you. Develop your vision statement. What is a vision statement? Well, that's what you would like to have happen in the future if you are attaining your mission. So if you're accomplishing your mission, your vision is what you would like to see happen in the future. Now, what is the mission? That's what you're doing now, right? Your aims, your goals. The mission becomes vital, because that is how you align to your funder, right? To that foundation that you're going to be getting money from, because your mission needs to align to that foundation's mission. If you are focused on K through 12 education, you want to make sure that that foundation also is focused on K through 12 education. So the mission becomes really important. But if you don't have that vision statement, that's more homework for you. Now, history. Every organization has a history. Why? Even if you are a startup, because you need to be including the impetus for why you started the organization right into the history section. I like to use the example of the retired principal. She wants to start a tutoring organization, right? Well, she's starting the tutoring organization because when she was a principal, she noticed that the kids in grades 10 through 12, they were underperforming in reading and math. And she said that once she retired, she wanted to create a tutoring organization to go back and help those kids. So her being in that school and seeing that those students were underperforming was really the impetus for her starting her organization, which means it's part of the history. So even if you have a startup, don't ever leave this section blank. Talk about why you started the organization. Leadership, that's easy. That's your CEO, your COO. What you need to know, however, is that your board of directors is part of the leadership. So you have to list them. Next, you are describing your organization. And this is where, especially us as women, like we don't always like to toot our own horns. This is where you need to really talk about the impact that your organization is making, right? I want you to use numbers, statistics. If you feed the homeless, how many tons of food do you provide? How many people do you serve, right? If you are placing people in shelters, how many people are you placing? If you have a service organization, and maybe you are providing career development services, right, to people, how many people have you worked with, right? You really need to look at those numbers and talk about impact. Impact is key to you indicating, okay, this is the success that I've been able to have. So this is where you really want to highlight the achievements of the organization when you are talking about the description. Next, statement of need. What is the problem? And this is where too many organizations fail. because they don't answer this question. It does not matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you have a program or a project or a service. You must answer this question in terms of resolving a problem or addressing an issue, right? This is key. This is important. Now, I always like to use the example of the bakery, right? Well, you might be thinking, well, cakes and cookies, like what problem is, is she solving? Well, maybe it's a vegan bakery. And maybe she's solving the problem that vegans don't always have a great place to have pastries. Or she's wanting to locate in a downtown community where there's been many other failed businesses. Maybe she's wanting to address the economic development issue in the downtown community by locating what she believes would be a successful store there. Maybe she is addressing the issues that the businesses have surrounding her. They will be her clients. They don't have a really good bakery to be able to maybe impress their clients, or have just an upscale bakery that's in the vicinity. Maybe that's the problem that she's solving. So it doesn't matter what you're doing or what your project or program is, right? Or your service. Always think about what you're doing as resolving an issue. And I like to use the example of, I have quite a few women who are into the trucking industry, truck drivers. Talk about resolving a problem. I mean, the trucking industry allows us to get goods and services from one point of the country to the next, right? And by the fact that she is a female in a very male-dominated industry, she's solving an issue right there. So it doesn't matter what you do. You have to write what you do in your statement of need, because you will be asked for the statement of need. How are you addressing an issue? And however you are addressing an issue is going to lead you to your perfect funder, because that funder, that foundation, they're going to be interested in providing grant money to organizations that are solving that same problem or that same area of interest that they're interested in, right? So if you're resolving the problem of the homeless and they're interested in providing money to those who resolve those issues, that's going to be a match. Now, how do you find out about the foundation? How do you find out about what their areas of interest would be? Well, you can always go to their website, but guess what? 90% of foundations don't even have a website. I'll say that again. 90% of foundations don't have a website. So what do? Well, you have the name of the organization. You can check their 990s. The 990s, they are a gold mine. That is the tax document that foundations have to provide to the Internal Revenue Service. And it will include the board members, the senior level officers, right? So you're getting names. And if you scroll to the back of that 990, there's almost always a list of nonprofits where that foundation is donated to. And you want to scan that list and look for other organizations similar to yours, right? So if you have an equestrian program where you're using horses to help heal veterans, you want to look to see if there are any other animal related organizations that they funded, because if there are, that may be a match. So don't sleep on 990s, okay? Now, how do you get them? You can always pay for a service that would house information about researching 990s, or I said you're going to hear this word free all evening. Free is what this particular URL will provide you in the form of 990s. So projects.propublica.org/nonprofits will allow you to download, to review and download the 990 of any organization has filed one, and it's absolutely free. So again, don't sleep on those 990s, because I tell you, they are a gold mine of information. Next, you need to talk about your target population. This is another area that's really tricky for a lot of organizations that I speak to, because you're passionate, you want to help everybody, but you can't help everybody. Who are you helping? You have to ask yourself this question: who would best, the word best, be served by your organization or your program or your service, right? Maybe it's based on gender. Maybe your program is for women, right? Maybe your program is based on ethnicity and it's serving Native Americans. Maybe it's based on income and you're serving people who live below the federal poverty line. Maybe you have a daycare center where you are searching for families with kids under the age of 5, right? Anytime you need these kinds of demographics when you're doing research, Don't sleep on the census. The US Census Fast Facts that is an incredible source of information. And guess what? It is free, right? You can't help everybody. You have to decide who would best be served, because that target population is going to do what? Excuse me. It is going to lead you to your perfect funder. Well, I take a step. That perfect funder, right? They're also going to be interested in serving organizations that address the problems of the target population. So that's why that target population becomes very, very important. So it can't be everybody. Really think about, when you look at your services, who would best be served. Now, at the end of the day, you are telling a story on this grant application, right? You are literally selling your concepts to that foundation. But what you want to keep in mind as you're writing, always really remain focused on, again, that target population of whom you are serving. Why? Because that's where the transformation takes place. So let's say you are wanting to help the homeless, right? Well, once you're able to place them in a shelter, maybe they can get a job, right? Or maybe they can go back to school, right? The transformation takes place in your clients and those for whom you serve. And if you have that career development consulting agency and you're helping someone who has recently been fired, you're changing their life by helping them to decide what direction they will take next, right? So as you write, always keep your client in mind, right? And are you really telling your story the best? Those of you who have written grants before, if you have written a grant, tell me in the chat, yes. If you have written a grant, let me know. If you have written a grant, give me a yes in the chat if you have written a grant. Yes, we have quite a few yeses, some no's. So for those of you who have written grants before, did you really tell your story the best, right? Did you talk about how you were changing lives or how you were providing an outcome, a different outcome for the people that you serve, right? Did you use real examples, testimonials, case studies? Literally that bakery, right? She could have her clients provide testimonials, easy, right? Whomever you're serving, have them provide testimonials. And those testimonials should be in videos, if at all possible, videos on the homepage of your website. And yes, you need a website. It's great that you have a social media presence, but guess what? And I've been doing this for 15 years. The foundation will go to your website first every time. Every time. You need a website, and it doesn't have to be expensive. I go crazy hearing about these small businesses that have been giving just exorbitant fees to just create a simple website, right? You need a website because you need a platform where you can provide information about your customers, your testimonials, your programs, right? Your footprint. And so I have a phenomenal web designer. She's a developer and a designer, which is rare to find someone who's both. She's been doing this for 25 years. I would be happy to refer you to her. And I have a few other people too that are very, very, very well experienced, and they're all affordable, right? I don't want you to have to pay a lot of money just to get a website done. So if you are wanting that referral, just drop your email into the Q&A. Just give me your email into the Q&A, drop it into the Q&A, and I will give you a referral, because yes, you will need a website. And look, the videos, this is simple. This does not have to be expensive. Literally, you can have whomever your client base is use their iPhone. And I always say, everybody knows I'm an Android girl, but if you use that iPhone, then I guess you can have them do it as well, right? So literally 30 seconds, 30 seconds. This is the greatest cupcake I've ever had in my life, or this person changed my life. You should have videos on your home page. And if you can't have videos, because I was giving my noon session and a young lady said, well, I can't have videos. I can't have anyone give me testimonies because what I do is very sensitive, and the people that I help, they need to be protected. No problem. Have them give a testimony, use a different name. Use a different name, and you can say that this is the name of someone else, and you're not using the real name because you want to protect them. Have them write out the testimony. It still goes on the homepage of your website. You can use a fictitious name, or you can just say client one, client two. But those testimonials become really important. All right. So you have a decision to make. Are you going to ask for operating or program project dollars? Operating dollars mean that you decide where to put the grant funding. Maybe it's IT, maybe it's marketing, maybe it's for your lease, right? Program project grants means that you can only place that money where you are providing, whether it's a program, a project, it could be a service. It has to be specific, right? The restaurant, she wants to start a home delivery service. So that's her project. So she's looking for money for that specific project. Or you may need to put a little bit of money everywhere over the entire operations, right? That would be operating. What you need to know, and this is critical, you must apply to multiple foundations. Grants are not guaranteed, right? You should be applying to multiple foundations. Guess what? For the same need. Always, always, always apply to multiple foundations. Let's say you need $10,000 to hire a contracted worker. You should be applying to Foundation A and Foundation B for the same $10,000. Guess what? What happens if you get it? You got $20,000. You got the grant from both foundations. What do? You don't give money back. We never, ever, ever give grant money back. That's not what you're going to do. What you can do, you can maybe keep the person for an extended period of time, right? Or maybe you hire another contracted worker. But what you must be doing is applying to multiple foundations for the same need. That is critical because we know foundations will not guarantee you a grant. Grants are never guaranteed. All right, next you're describing whatever your project or your service is. Just make sure that you really use those stats to talk about how successful it's been. If it's something new that you're using, do your research and talk about why you think it will be successful. But at the end of the day, no matter how you're writing about that project or service, always write from the perspective of you resolving an issue. All right. My mouse is just going all over the screen today. All right, there we go. Next, community partnerships. This is critical because I am finding that it is a larger part of applications now. Foundations want you to collaborate with others in your community to move your organization forward. I've been in business 15 years. Don't do this alone. Collaborate, get partners, right? And that doesn't mean that there has to be an exchange of money, right? You could be using the partnership for something else, right? So a few years ago, I was writing a grant for a third grade class in an urban school. We were going to be partnering with the Cleveland Orchestra, clearly one of the greatest orchestras in the world. And they were going to come after school and teach these third graders the violin. If you can imagine what that looks like on a grant application, and that's what I want you to do, is to partner with these very well-respected organizations in your community. It is a wealth of information for you to be able to get just from that established organization, right? And typically they have a board of directors that are well known in the community. And that board of that established organization can always give you recommendations to let you know maybe there's another foundation that you should be seeking funding from, right? And again, there doesn't have to be an exchange of money. That bakery is going to be partnering with an event planner where she's going to have the event planner's flyers in her establishment. The event planner will be buying, right, services from the bakery, but also providing flyers in her establishment for the bakery. So really think about what are the organizations in your community. It doesn't matter where you live. There are organizations. It could even be the library, right, where maybe they will post your information in their informational section that they have, and a lot of libraries do, or maybe they will allow you to come and speak, right? Please always think about how you're going to collaborate, because that question is typically on almost every grant application now. Next, you are going to be talking about your results, right? You will be forecasting, and I don't want you to be afraid of this F word, because all you're doing is talking about what you think, what you anticipate your future results will be. Now, there's outputs, outcomes, and impacts. Some grant applications only ask for one. Some ask for all three. So we will talk about all three. Outputs, those are your immediate results. You give me the money, this is what is going to happen. Outcomes come later, right? They typically happen maybe 6 months to a year down the road, but they happen as a result of the outputs. The impact happens a little further down the road, maybe a year to 2 years down the road, but they occur as a result of the outcomes, right? So one stair steps the other. Let me give you an example. A daycare center wanted $20,000, right, to open. They found this great location. They said, if you give us $20,000, that's what we need to open, right? If you give me the $20,000, we will open and serve 100 families and 250 children because we found this great location. And we anticipate that in 6 months, because we are serving 100 families and 250 children, we expect our daycare capacities to grow by 40%. And we expect to be able to add 24/7 services. Now, we also anticipate a year from now impact, which means when we provide our survey, 25% of our families will say they experience less stress. Why? Because they can drop their kids off 24/7. Like, wouldn't you? Also, a survey will say 65% of children that are with us demonstrate improved behavior because we have such a great educational program. And we anticipate that a year to 2 years down the road, we are going to open another location. So you might only get one of these on the grant application, but if you get all three, you know how to answer it by stair-stepping the answer. All right, next. You know that you are going to have to talk about your goals, right? What are your goals for your organization? And you want to use SMART goals. And I know a lot of you probably know what SMART goals are. They are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. Now, when you include your goal, you want to include SMART goals. Let me show you how you can change a regular goal to a SMART goal. Let's say I have a program that addresses poverty, and I put down on the grant application, I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. Well, that's like a massive goal. That's a huge goal, right? It's not specific enough. Look how I changed it to a SMART goal based on my program. I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. What did I do there? Like, look at the goal and look at the SMART goal. What did I do? I added data and stats, and that's how you get to a SMART goal. You want to add measurable components, right? Data and stats. Next, what type of assessment tool are you using to showcase that you're doing great, that your program is working, that your service is working? I happen to love surveys. I like SurveyMonkey. If you use a particular survey that's really great, drop it into the chat so that we'll know about it. I like a Jotform. Google has a survey form. It's all about showcasing that your program is working. Think about the principal in the tutoring organization. Well, her assessment tool will be the math and reading results of those students before and after they take her tutoring, because that will determine whether or not her program is working, right? So again, I love SurveyMonkey. Let's see if there is anyone else. Yes, yes, Kelly, you're absolutely right. I added measurable data. That's exactly what I added. And that's how you get to your SMART goal from a regular goal, right? So the assessment tool, surveys, could be reports, could be follow-up interviews, you name it. All right, next. Staff. What you need to know is that you're going to have to list those who are responsible for whatever your program or your service is. You need to make sure your bios and your resumes are up to date. And it could be you, right? Or maybe you have a team, but make sure that you have updated resumes and updated bios for everyone on that team, including yourself. Why? Because foundations want to make sure that you're accountable, that people who you are placing in charge of these programs are qualified. Next, budget. What do you need to know? You have to itemize your expenses, right, for every budget area. So let's say you need $50,000 to hire an executive director. Well, what does that mean? Is it $50,000 for the entire year? Is it for 6 months? Is this person a contracted worker? Or maybe she is a W-2 employee, which means you will also need to include benefits, right? So in the budget narrative, you are describing how you are using the funding. So the numbers go in the budget, but the specifics, right, go into the budget narrative. But one little trick that I always use is I connect the money. I connect the money back to the goal of the program. So that becomes important. I connect the money back to the goal of the program. All right, next. If I can get control of my mouse, it's just really not cooperating tonight. Now, sustainability. I love this area because it makes you think. So I told you earlier that grants were not guaranteed, that just because you get a grant in year one does not mean you're going to get the grant in year two. So you have to write in the application how you plan on covering that expense in year two in case you don't get the grant money. So we're going to do a quick activity. I want you to think about that high school, right? The high school received the $20,000 for the tutoring program in year one. They had to write in that application, well, in year two, if we don't get the grant, we're still going to be able to come up with $20,000 to pay for the program. I want you to put into the chat, how do you think they were able to do that, right? How do you think they were able to talk about, okay, in year two, this is how we're going to come up with $20,000. Exactly, Kelly, fundraising. Sharon, fundraisers. Teresa, fundraisers. How about a car wash, right? Or maybe they're selling merchandise that has the school name on it, right? Maybe it's a bake sale. Train the trainer, Patricia, absolutely, right? Discount cards. Yes, discount cards. That's another way, right? Bake sale. A musical, right? A rally, exactly, Devin, a rally, right? Oh, is it Ramikia? A gala? That's an excellent option there. So you need to write alternative methods, right? For you to be able to come up with the money in year two when you don't get the grant, because remember, grants are not guaranteed. Now it is easier. It's easier to get the money in year two if you've gotten the money in year one, but it's not guaranteed. So next, if you take nothing else away from this webinar, this is critical. You need to meet with the funder first, if at all possible. Do your due diligence and try to meet with the funder first. It makes all the difference in the world, and it may determine whether or not you get the grant funding. I've been in foundation meetings where I've literally heard foundation leaders saying, look, if you give me a grant application and you have not contacted me, you have not called me, you have not emailed me, I don't know, I might put that in the trash. Now, they don't all do that. Not all foundations do that. And some foundations don't even want you to contact them, right? They want you to complete that application and send it off. But if you have the opportunity to meet with that funder, it can absolutely make the difference as to whether or not you get the money. I literally set up a meeting just a month ago with a client and a nonprofit foundation. 30 minutes. The foundation had never even heard of my client. Excuse me. Had never even heard of them. 30 minutes, they walked away with $30,000. The same thing happened a few weeks earlier. Set up a meeting with a family foundation, didn't even have a website, this foundation, but they were so impressed with the client and those missions aligned that the client walked away with not only a $30,000 grant, but the family promised an annual grant of $30,000. So this is what happens when you meet with the funder, because guess what? They're going to tell you information about that grant that is not on the website, right? You can share with them information about your nonprofit that they would never be able to find from a website, right? Because you are building a relationship. You're talking one-on-one, right? You're getting to know each other. And that is so critical because foundation leaders want to know the organization that they're providing money to. So whatever you do, please, please, please meet with the funder first, if at all possible. right? Next, consider time management. Grants are deadline driven. If that portal closes at 4:59 p.m. and you try to submit the grant at 5 o'clock, oh, it's going to be a bad evening for you. It's not going to be a good evening because it's not going to be accepted. So please don't wait until the last minute. Don't wait until the day of to submit. Give yourself at least a day so that you avoid any technical difficulties. Also, address every question on that grant application, even if it doesn't pertain to you. Don't leave it blank. Just put NA, because if you leave it blank and it's an online portal, it may reject the application because it's thinking it's incomplete because every question wasn't answered. So just put NA. Next, you absolutely have to have a mindset of winning when you are getting grants, when you are pursuing grants, right? Grants are not guaranteed, but you can't go in thinking, oh my gosh, just like, no way I'm going to get this grant. Why do I even try? No, you have to have a positive attitude, right? You literally have to have a mindset of winning, because people that look like you and me, women, are getting grant money every single day. So why not you? You have to place yourself in position to get it with the knowledge that you have. But the mindset of winning becomes so important, so important. Next, those are some do's, these are some don'ts. Don't use cookie cutter answers based on a template, right? A template is great. I love a template, excuse me. But what I don't want you to do is copy and paste from a template into like 20 different other documentations, right? Or grant applications, right? Now, there's some answer that will be the same, like your mission and your vision, but read the question. Read the question. They may not be asking you for your mission. They may be asking you, like, how do you expect to fulfill your mission if you get grant funding, right? So that question may be different. So I always read questions 3 times. Next, don't ask for too much money when approaching a funder for the first time. Now, most grants will tell you how much money the grant is for, but community foundations oftentimes will not tell you the amount of the grant. They expect you to come to them with an amount. And I don't want you going in there for the first time and asking for $100,000, because you're not going to get it, because they don't know that you're a good steward of your finances yet. So they want to make sure that you can be fiscally responsible with a smaller amount. So I always recommend anywhere between $5,000 to tops $30,000 if you are approaching them for the first time. Ask for the $100,000 after you get the $30,000 for year one. And whatever you do, don't forget to add it, right? Grammarly is our friend. Now, I told you how important it is to meet with the funder. How do you do this? How do you meet with the funder? You create a letter of introduction. And in that letter, you're going to talk about your organization, your statement of needs, your target population, how your program aligns to the funder, right? Those missions. You're not asking for money. You're asking for a meeting. Now, you should have the name of the person. You can get it from the 990, or maybe they have a website, or maybe you get a reference and you get the name, right? But where do you send it? How do you get the email address, right? 90% of foundations don't have a website. How do you get the email address? Well, I've been giving you tea all evening. This, ladies, is the teapot. It is getemail.io. And let me tell you, it will give you the email address of just about anybody in the world in an established, right, organization. I use it all the time, literally several times a week. I'm finding emails, right, from people in Italy, Germany, you name it. And it's free. There's that word again. It's free for like maybe the first 10 to 15 emails. And then there's a monthly charge of, I think it's like $60 a month. But use your 10 to 15 emails. So that link has been dropped into the chat. Use those emails to get the email address of your funder, because I don't want you to send that letter to like info@abcfoundation.org. It'll, go off into the hemisphere and probably never come back. You need a real email address. And that's how you get it. Now, this is how you find your grants. This is important. These are the main grant portals that you use. These are grant websites where you go in and you find information about grants. Now, the Foundation Directory Online has the largest source of information on funders. It will give you the names of organizations that provide grants in particular categories, right? It's not going to give you the grant application. It's going to give you the name of the funder. It's about $50 a month, but if you go to your local library, you can access it for free. Now, instrumental.com is more pricey. They're like $200 a month, but they give you the name of the funder and the foundation. They give you the $9.90. They give you the actual grant, right, that you can download. They give you lots of training, but again, it's pricey at $200 a month. I think you can get what you need from some of these other sites here. Grants.gov, we know that's a single source for federal grants, right? It's free, of course. For those of you who have faith-based organizations or churches, yes, there's money for you. Yes, there's grant money for you. Lilly Foundation is the largest funder of religious organizations, and that's a free site. Grant Gopher is free. They list a lot of educational funds. Grantwatch.com, I like because they have a lot of last minute grants. Now they give you not only the funder's name, they give you the grant application where you can download. They give you links to the grantor's website. It's incredible. $20 a week, right? If you're on a budget, take that $20 and get as many names as you can. I love Grant Station because they do such a good job of helping you hone in specifically your category, right? Your subject area of interest. And they also provide not only the grant application that you can go to and you can download, but the funders information as well. Plus, they also provide training, and they're about $200 a year, but oftentimes they will run specials and provide a year service free to nonprofits. So you can check them out to find out whether or not they're running a special. And for minority organizations, urbanawarenessusa.org is fabulous. They are Black owned and they have tons of grants and different trainings for organizations. So you really need to know about them. Now, because this is so important, because this is how you determine your grants. This is how you find your perfect funder. This is the homepage of Grant Watch. So I just want to show you how this works. In the middle there, it says nonprofit, business, or individual. You check whichever one is applicable to you. And then you start filling in those categories to the left there. And you apply those filters. So type of grant, are you looking for federal grants or foundation grants? That target population becomes important. Veterans, homeless, K through 12, disabled. What is your subject? Arts and culture, business and industry, economic development. You put in all those variables, the location, where you're located, but also where the grantor is located. But bear in mind, just because a funder is not located in your state does not mean that they don't provide funds to organizations in your state. There could be an organization that's headquartered in California and provide funding to you, and you may be in Ohio. So don't exclude the locations of the funders. So anyway, you put all that information in and you literally push a button and up pops a list of grant opportunities. So that was Grant Watch. Again, it's $20 a week. Now, these are actual grants that you can apply for. If you are a small business, a small for-profit, you need to be absolutely subscribed to helloalice.com. There's a grant right now that's available. There are several grants available. Facebook has a grant, Amber Grants for Women. They provide $10,000 every single month and $25,000 a quarter, and then $50,000 a year. They are the only portal I know that charges a fee, and it's only like $15, and you're covered for all 3 or 4 of those grants. But they're really the only organization I know that charges. Most organizations, there is not going to be a grant fee at all. The NASC has growth grants. The next 2 are 2 credit card grants for women of color. FedEx has a grant. If you have a wellness program or a sports program, you need to check out the Women's Sports Foundation. Grantsforwomen.org has a list of additional grants for women. You have to check that out. Next, we have 37angels.com. Maybe you don't want a grant. Maybe you want an investor. 37angels.com is a group of female angel investors, and all they do is invest in women-owned businesses up to $150,000, right? Even if you don't want an investor, I want you to go to that website because it is a gold mine. They have so many listings of grant money for female founders. So I Fund Women is another source. Cartier, the jewelry company, they have a phenomenal women's initiative program. And yes, if you are a startup, there is money for you. InSile, right, is an organization that provides money for startups. All right. And also, I'm not going to go through every one of these. I'm just here to say you need to network. You need to network and join other organizations where people can give you references. Maybe they know about additional foundations and funding. Grants for Women I told you about. I'm a member of Women Helping Women Entrepreneurs, which is a phenomenal Facebook group of over 700,000 women entrepreneurs. So if you are a member of Women Helping Women, the Facebook group, give yourself a shout out in the chat because it's an amazing community of women entrepreneurs, over 700,000. It's amazing. So if you belong to that group, give yourself a shout out in the chat. I'm a member of the Cleveland chapter of NAWBO, the National Association of Women Business Owners. You have the Female Entrepreneur Association. Oh, Shep is a member of Women Helping Women. Absolutely excellent. Who knew the SBA had an office for women businesses? Ladies Who Launch, right? They provide funding. So these are just some networking opportunities for you. And really quickly, we're getting to the end. Don't go anywhere. I want you to put into the chat, what do you think about when you think about banks and money? Banks and money, really quickly, banks and money. Arthi, the answer is yes to your question. Banks and money into the chat. What do you think about when you think about banks and money? Banks and money, banks and money. Loans, yes. They fund. Loans, lenders, yes. Good credit for loans. You need good credit for loans. But did you know that banks are some of the largest providers of grants, grant money in the country, right? Don't sleep on banks. You've been speaking to the wrong people. If you speak to the branch manager, they're not going to know anything about any grant money from that bank. They'll probably try to sell you a loan. If you go to your loan officer, they'll try to sell you an even bigger loan, right? You need to go to the vice president. Typically, the title is vice president of like community reinvestment or community investment or economic development. Banks, yes. Banks provide grant money. I have received grant money for clients from banks for profits, right? And no, you don't need to go to that bank and open up some accounts. So it doesn't have to be your personal bank at all, right? It needs to be a bank with a really good presence in your community. Maybe you see a lot of ads for the banks. Maybe you see a lot of branches, but the VP typically of like community reinvestment or community development, that's who you need to speak to, right? And usually it's going to be maybe a regional office, or maybe you have a headquarters office in your city, but please don't sleep on banks. You want to connect with that VP and meet with the funder, set up that meeting. All right, so don't go anywhere because I have a surprise for you. I mentioned to you that literally in the 15 years that I have been writing grants, I have never, ever seen this kind of money, grant money available to you as a for-profit, right? Woman-owned business or even a woman-led nonprofit. The money is available and I want to be able to help you receive it, right? Grants are totally different. Now, grant writing is totally different. So what did I do? I created an easy to follow grant writing course that literally is what I use. Every bit of information that I stored for the last 15 years in writing grants, I put into this course because I want you to be successful. And I know you need the money, and look, the money is available, right? We know the money is available. So it is a step-by-step path to your funding because I want you to be impactful and to fulfill your mission without always using personal finances, right? Or bootstrapping or getting loans or asking family and friends for money, right? Think about what you could do if you got a $20, $30, or $50,000 grant. Maybe you can finally open that new organization or pay your employees, right? Or expand, right? But I don't want you to do it alone. I want you to be in a community because with this course, you will absolutely research and write grants much faster than you would ever be able to do on your own, right? And look, artificial intelligence is wonderful. Chat GPT is wonderful, but alone, it's not going to get you grant money. It needs to be something that you use in conjunction, right, with writing the grant application. And I'm going to give you soup to nuts, right? If you're using AI, wonderful. It will only help you, but you need the foundations. They're not ever going to be able to meet a funder on your behalf. Like AI cannot meet with someone on your behalf, right? So you need to know what these processes are so that you are able to find literally the right grants for your organization way better, way faster than doing it by yourself. So of course I give you the best grant research techniques because I've been doing it for a long time. And I show you how to find funders who want to give you money and how to approach funders. And of course, I'm going to teach you how to write every part of the grant narrative. What do you get? You get 12 modules, 35 lessons. You have 30 introductory videos because I know people learn differently. And I start every lesson off with a video and then I go into the lesson. And yes, everything I provide can be downloaded. The tasks, the lessons, the workbook, the quizzes, everything. And yes, I give you actual grant examples. And these examples I have written myself and they all won money. So every grant I gave you was part of a winning grant application. And I do something that nobody else is doing. I give you a list of over 450 funders. I'm going to say it again, 450 funders. So you're ready. Like you go through the course, you've got a list of funders so that you are off to a great start. And unlike a lot of leaders that create these courses, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to serve as your coach. I'm here to help you, right? So I have a private Facebook group. So all of the students come into the Facebook group. And if you are a member of that Facebook group and you are on this webinar, please give yourself a shout out because that group is amazing. Like literally about 3 weeks ago, they started like a little subgroup, a sub-study group. It's phenomenal. And I have professional grant writers that take the course that are in the Facebook group. I'm always in the Facebook group, dropping information, dropping new grants, right? But it's a safe space to be, and there's community, you help each other, right? And what I've seen a lot, if you're working on a grant, bring it to the Facebook group, right? And ask someone in the group, would you review this particular section for me? Again, I have professional grant writers in the group. And in addition to that, because this is important, I want to be able to see you once a month. I have free group coaching for 1 hour, literally 1 hour of free group coaching where literally I get you together, right? You come into that hour session and you ask your questions, and then I make sure that you are getting the support that you need because I'm here to help you. Now, how much does this cost? I've had the course audited 3 times, and these are the values, right? This is not what I'm going to charge you. These are the values. The 12 modules and the 35 lessons was valued at $3,549. The intro videos, $599. Just the list of 450 funders would cost well over $500 for that kind of research. And yes, I give you full workbooks, full planners. You know how important those grant planners and those grant trackers are. You have to stay organized. Worth $350, but no, you're not paying that, right? It's valued at $5,000. That's why the regular price is $997, which is typical, but it's on sale. The course is on sale for $497 right now, but that's not what you're paying because you decided to come on my webinar with me tonight. So guess what? You're paying $247, one payment, one and done. Like literally, yes, you're getting a $5,000 course for $247, one payment. This is not a monthly payment. This is one payment, or, right, you have the option, which I don't normally do, of making 2 payments, right? So if you make a payment of $137.50 now, you'll make another payment in a month from now, right? So just in case you need a little bit more flexibility, I give you that. But guess what? I don't drip my course. If you pay the $137.50 now, you get everything right up front. Now, because people pay $497 for the course, I can't keep it at $247. I can't. So yes, there is a limit. You have 3 days until Saturday to get the one payment of $247. You need this code though. You will need the code MAY31P like Paul. So you put that code in and immediately it takes 50% off of the price and you get it for $247. Now, even though that code expires, the course never does. I'm going to say that again. The course never expires. Look, I know life happens. You could buy the course and think, I'm going to start in 2 days. And in 2 days, life happens, right? That's why I don't put that pressure on you. It's self-paced. The course never expires, but I give you the support you need in the Facebook group and with the group coaching, right? So at the end of those 12 modules, you have completed a grant application. You are ready to apply for this money that's out here, right? And I give you 450 names, contact information, right? And it's based on different categories. So you can look through there and see what's germane to you. This is everything you get. We didn't even talk about the letter of inquiry. There's so much more in the course. It's $247, one and done, right? You have to use the code. It does expire Saturday. You can pay the $497 if you wait. People do every day, but I'd rather you get it for $247, right? And so if you're buying it, you hit that link that is now in the chat. It will take you to this page here, the $497 at the top. You hit purchase. It will take you to another page where you input the code and it will immediately take off $250, or you can take advantage of the 2 payments and you don't need a code. So if you take advantage of the 2 payments, you will not need a code, right? So if you want to make the 1 payment, you hit purchase, this page pops up, right? And you see to the left where it says have a coupon, you put your 250 or rather the code in there and it will take off $250 immediately, right, from the price, because there you have it. People pay $497, but it will take off the $250. You will pay $247, and that is it. Now you see that little block there that says ask the expert. This is the only time you're going to see that because I discount my hourly rates. Is normally $495 for an hour for you and I to do a deep dive into your organization. But if you buy with the course, this hour is only $195. And a lot of people take advantage of that because they want a one-on-one with me, but you don't have to. It's not necessary. You don't have to. But people who want a deep dive to get off to a good start, they check that block and it's an additional $195. But as you can see, you put in the information about the code that you have and it will take off the $250 right away. All right, now why is all this important? Because we're almost at June, right? Tomorrow is June 1st. So this becomes important because many funders, they are exhausting their money, right? Their money is being exhausted because people have been applying for some of this money since January 1st. And organizations like Walmart and Verizon, they'll tell you when the money is gone, it's gone, right? So whatever you do, if you buy the course or not, do not be in this position a month from now. Do something to move your organization forward, please, right? I would love to coach you. I would love to have you in the class, in the Facebook group. But whatever you do, move your organization forward. Don't be in the position a month from now saying, how did she get a grant? Like, how did that organization get a grant? How did they get grant money? Because we're here to help. And the next coaching session, by the way, is June 29th. So you have time, but you can come into the Facebook group immediately and get help immediately, right? So just want to read quickly what Christina had to say. She said, may I share that I am so grateful for Linda. I would not have had the confidence to follow through on applying for grants if it wasn't for her grant writing course. The depth of information provided is unmatched from my experience. I won my very first grant to grow my business, and I'm so grateful. Look at Christina, right? She's a female. She has a for-profit. She not only won $10,000, she won a year's mentorship. And you know what? This grant was one of the grants I dropped into the Facebook group, right? So I'm always putting information into the Facebook group, but that word confidence, so many of you are too scared to step out and do this, right? That's why you need to do this in a community of support for you so that you know it's real. Like these women aren't coming in from other planets. These are real women, right? Here's Quintina. This was March 1st. She got her first grant. Farah has gotten 5 grants. Kelly wrote a $75,000 grant for her colleague and then started writing grants for herself. Remember I said faith-based organizations get money? Reverend Christine she's at $35,000 now, right? So this is real. And what I'm going to do now, we're at the end. So yes, it's 247. That's one and done. That is not a month. I'm going to go to the Q&A. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And yes, there is a recording. Don't worry. You will get the replay. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And I'm going to start the Q&A. But what I want you to do before you leave, this is important. I want everybody, because sometimes you literally have to speak into the universe what you want. Everybody into the chat. I am ready to get grant money. I am ready to get grant money. I am ready to get grant money. We know it's out there. Look at the $90 billion. That's just from foundations. That does not even include your corporations. Look at Arthi. Look at Lucretia, Kelly. Yes. Janelle. Hyacinth. Oh, I hope I didn't butcher that time. Lisa, Teresa, I'm ready to get grant money. Quinlan, Stella, Linda, Yvette, I'm ready to get this grant money. Monica is ready to get this grant money. Sharon is ready to get this grant money. Everybody say it into the chat. Speak it out. Aaliyah is ready to get grant money. Chef is ready to get this grant money, right? Is it Romikia? Pamela? Tanya? Yes. Get ready to get this grant money. Rhonda's ready. Tanya's ready. Belinda is ready. Courtney is ready to get this grant money. We're going to go to the Q&A. All right. Let me drop into the Q&A. Then I will go into the chat. Yes, Keita. Yes, Sherelle. Yes, Courtney. Yes, Danielle. Yes, Belinda. Yes, Valerie. Ready to get grant money. Please don't wait. Please don't wait. Whatever you do, please move yourself forward. And by the way, the course is tax deductible. Yes, it is. You can write it off. All right. Questions. Is it true that one can use their name for an EIN? What would be the benefit for that? So the employer identification number is for your company name. Your company name could be your name. You could literally have it could be, you decide what your name is, what your company name is, right? So if it's a company name, you can have an EIN. You can be a sole proprietor and have an EIN. Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. Many organizations, many foundations would like you to have an employer identification number so that you're not using your social security number, because you have to have a tax ID number. And if you have a company, it needs to be an EIN, which, by the way, I'm almost sure they are provided immediately when you apply for them. So it's not a lengthy process, right? Okay, next question. For a startup, the financial statement would have what? So if you are a startup, you are going to create an operating budget. So no, you're not going to have like a balance sheet or an income statement, but you should have an operating budget, because you have to know how much money this is going to cost you. So you need an annual budget. You have to know what your anticipated revenues is going to be, but especially what your expenses are going to be, because you're a startup. You have to know how much this is going to cost you so that you can figure out what do you need to finance? How much grant money do you need? So your financial statement would be your operating budget or your annual budget. All right, so I have the emails for the website referral, no problem. I see. Yes, so at 7 o'clock, if you were at the noon session, that the replay was emailed to you at 7 o'clock, but you'll get additional emails with it. How much time to put in each week applying if you are already an open for-profit? That's a great question. I mean, it's up to you as to how much time you want to put in applying each week. I mean, because I don't know your schedule, that's totally up to you. I can tell you with the course, if you want to figure out how long it will take you to get through the course, in the schedule, there's a worksheet, and then there's a schedule that is in the course, and it will tell you approximately If you spend 2 hours a week, or if you spend 3 hours a week, how long will it take you to get through the course? But it all depends on whether or not you have a seasoned organization where you have a lot of data, you have a lot to say, versus maybe a younger organization or a startup. So sometimes it just depends. How many board of directors should a nonprofit organization have? Monica, excellent, excellent question. And the answer is what? It depends, right? Because the state determines the number of board members you must have. So in Ohio, in order to have a quorum, you have to have 5 board members. I know in Wyoming, it's 3 board members. So it's different for every state. So you will have to research and find out what that number is for your state, okay? Let me just see if there are any other questions. Don't be scared, ask those questions. Let me see if there are any other questions in the Q&A, and then I'm going to go over to the chat because I did see questions over in the chat. All right, that's it for the Q&A and the Q&A section. Now I'm going over to the chat because, as I mentioned, I'm going to answer all of the questions. Let's see. All right. Let me get to the questions. Yes, everything is being recorded, so you will get the free replay. The first one will come tonight at 11 o'clock. And then you'll get another email tomorrow with it included as well. So I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot. Yes. So definitely you will get the replay. So the grant was for a company, you received the grant. So we have some people in the chat, they've received grants before. So this is not, some far-fetched idea. There are real people getting real grant money. I always fall short of patting our organization on the back. You are not alone. You are not alone. And as I mentioned before, for whatever reason, oftentimes as women, it's sometimes difficult for us to do that, but you have to do it on that grant application. You have to pat yourself on the back. You are literally selling what you do and the idea of what you do to a foundation, right? You're selling it. So you have to keep that in mind. I'm selling what I'm doing and my mission to this foundation. So you have to be able to talk about your impact and your accolades. Absolutely. So someone asked, she said, I live in Canada and my startup clients are in Canada. Would any of these organizations support Canadian startups? Absolutely. So when you are doing your grant research, you want to put Canada. I know with Grant Station, there's literally a separate little box that you click for Canadian organizations. But even in Grant Watch, there's a section where if you are an international company, you put in whatever country you're in. And let me just say this, the grant search is global, right? So I have students, their organization is here in the US, but their target population is elsewhere. One gentleman's target population is, he works with children in Africa, right? But his nonprofit is here in the US and he's still able to research grants, right? So as you go through the research portal, you can put where you're looking for grants, like what particular country. So it's not just here in the US. Do all funders require a full business plan, or can some grants and operating lines of credit be given based on just a pitch deck? So I hear a lot of information about business plans. So the grants that I've seen for for-profits don't require a business plan. And just so you know, because I get this question a lot, if you buy the course and you answer the question, because every module has questions in it that you're answering about your organization. Remember, we went through all of those components. By the time you're finished with the course, you will have literally almost completed a business plan, because it's the same information. Except on a business plan, you have more information about your marketing plan than you do in the grant. But if you go through the course and you answer those questions, you're literally writing your business plan at the same time. But most of the grants that I've seen, even for for-profits, They don't ask for a business plan. Most of them do not ask for a business plan. All right, you are welcome. You are welcome. That's the same question. Do all grants require you to provide business plans? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Right, the course never expires, never expires. But the deadline does. The deadline will expire Saturday. So I don't want you to pay the $497 if you don't have to. Yes, Arthi, I need for you to send me an email. And I don't know if that was put into the chat yet, but I'm going to give everyone these two email addresses. It's very important that you include these two emails on your safe senders list, because you're going to be getting the replay from one of them. And then my personal direct email is lpv@lepav.com. But this other email address, hello at grantwritingfornonwriters.com, you're going to get your replay from one of these. And I really don't want it going to your spam. I don't want it going to your spam because it's going to come through at 11 o'clock tonight and then tomorrow morning as well. So let me go back up because I saw quite a few other questions. Let me go back up. Business plans are generally not needed for grant applications. Okay, let me just go back up there. There's actually quite a few questions up here. I don't want to miss any of them. Yes, so thank you. I have Erica with me tonight. She dropped in also my two email addresses. Put those in your safe senders list, please. No, the course does not expire. It does not expire. Arthi, if you could send me an email, that would be awesome. Just send me a private email to the email address that I gave you. And then we'll take it from there. All right, so other questions I know I saw. Okay, do you need a business plan for a faith-based startup grant? Again, from my experience, a lot of people are asking about business plans. I don't know if I've ever seen a grant request a business plan. So I'm not sure where that's coming from. Now, if you have an investor, if you want an investor, that investor is going to want a business plan, but grants are very different. Grants are not investments. For a faith-based startup grant, no, I've just not seen that. Well, Arthi, you're saying in Canada, yes, lenders always ask for a business plan. We're not talking about loans. We're not talking about loans. I do not want you to get this confused. A grant is not a loan, and the requirements are totally different, right? In the 15 years that I've been in this grant world, I have never seen a grant application ask for a business plan. Now, if you are seeking a loan, if you are seeking an investment that is totally different, then yes, you will probably need a business plan, but that's not what a grant is, right? So just so you are crystal clear about this, when an organization, when a foundation provides a grant, there cannot be a reciprocal benefit. There cannot be, right? That's actually illegal, right? So an organization, a foundation cannot give you a grant and expect something in return, right? That's not the way grants work. So if you are a lender, if you are expecting to loan someone some money, if you are expecting to invest in someone's organization, yes, business plan, but that's not what a grant is. That's not what a grant is. So I see a lot of this business plan language in the chat. I do not want anybody to be confused, right? You will not need a business plan for these grants. No. No. All right. As a side, I like to do book bag drives. Should I create a nonprofit? That's totally up to you. Like, I can't tell you whether or not you need to be a nonprofit or for-profit. I know the book bag drives, typically that's in the area of education. And I can tell you there's probably billions of dollars in funding available to nonprofits in the area of education. So if you're going to be in the area of education and you had to choose between a nonprofit and a for-profit, I would say go for the nonprofit. It's going to be easier for you to get money. I have my nonprofit and wanted to become self-funded. I'm not sure what that means. I don't think you want to be self-funded. I don't think you want to be self-funded. You want to get free money from other organizations. Absolutely. I know it's a lot to take in. That's why you're going to get a free replay. You'll get a free replay. Absolutely. Okay, let me just see if there are any other questions. As a startup, can we use Form 1023 EZ, or is it best to complete the original 1023? Oh, that's going to depend. I can't answer that. That's going to depend. I am coaching a client this evening, and we are pitching to investors with just a pitch deck. My email address was dropped into the chat. So when you're pitching to investors, that's totally different. That is totally different than grant funding. That has nothing to do with grant money. Investing has nothing to do with grant money because investors expect a return. Grant funders cannot expect any type of reciprocal benefit, right? So totally different. Okay. All right. I think we are done. You will not have access to the slides, but you will have the replay and you can take screenshots. It's going to be on YouTube. So you'll get the link at 11 o'clock. Where do I look for faith-based grants? I gave you 2 different ones. I went through 8 or 9 different grant search engines where you can look for faith-based grants, right? You can look for faith-based grants on Foundation Directory Online, Grant Station, and Grant Watch. Those are the 3 big ones. Foundation Directory Online, Grant Watch, Grant Station. They all have faith-based grants. All of them will have faith-based grants in their portal where you can research and find out who's providing that money. Just so you know, Maxine, Mustard Seed, Google the Mustard Seed Foundation. All they do is give money to faith-based organizations, all right? Does your list of funders include community foundations? Yes. Self-funded example, Girl Scouts have Girl Scouts and we have a similar source. Well, Girl Scouts are not self-funded, right? Just so you know, Girl Scouts are not self-funded. They have those Girl Scout cookies, right? That gives them a lot of money, but they also receive other methods of funding, just so you know. They also receive other methods of funding. It's not just those cookies. Thank you so much, Teresa. All right, I believe we are done. Let me just make sure, let me go over to the Q&A and make sure there are no more questions. How many were, okay, that is it. I think we are done. So I hope to see you in the Facebook group, everyone. I hope to see you in the course. Like I said, whatever you do, be in a different place. Move yourself forward, right? A month from now, don't be in the same place. Hopefully you allow me to be your coach so that you can get on this grant train and start getting this money, right? So I am hopeful to be able to coach you and make sure that you are moving your organization forward, right? Because that is important, okay? So I believe that's it. Arthi, I want grant money. That's right. I want grant money. I want to thank everybody so much for hopping on. I know you could have been elsewhere. You decided to spend this time with me, and I so much appreciate it. So thank you so much again. My name is Linda Peavy. I'm the founder of LaPav Consulting, and the grant writing course, Grant Writing for Non-Writers, Keys to Winning Grant Proposals. I wish you all well. Thank you so much. Move your organization forward. I hope to see you. You only have 3 days to get the discount, so I hope you take advantage of it. Again, it is tax deductible. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I will see you soon in the Facebook group. All right, thank you so much. I do appreciate your time, and yes, you do need to buy the course to be in the Facebook group. Yes, so hopefully I'll see you there. All right, thank you so much. You have a very blessed and safe evening. All right, bye-bye.